Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to you on this Saturday morning. I'm Reema Bose Suri, Chief Customer Officer for Elders India, and I am very, very delighted to have all of you here with us to be a part of this session. So as you all know, we are celebrating Global Alzheimer's Month. The month of September is being world over celebrated as World Alzheimer's Month. And we at Elders India are bringing to you a host of initiatives to ensure that the entire concept, the knowledge of what Alzheimer's really is, how does it come around, what are the treatments possible, what is the precaution possible, all of this is available to each one of us to understand the disease better. Today is part 2 of our series, and we are going to be spending time understanding the caregiver perspective. Before I hand over to Raghu, just a little bit about Elders India. So Elders India was established in 2019 with the intent of supporting people in ensuring that their elderly family members can lead a happy and comfortable life. As a platform, we are dedicated to providing support to our senior citizens to make their lives comfortable, independent, and we cover all aspects of medical support, safety, recreation, assistance, emergency services, and wealth management. Our service providers are located across the country to help individuals and their senior family members access a wide range of services. We work closely with corporates and organizations to ensure that this is a benefit they can provide to their employees. So I welcome our CEO and founder, K.S. Raghunandan, and request Raghu to take the session forward. Raghu, over to you.
Thank you, Reema, and good morning, everyone, and welcome you all to this webinar. And thank you for joining this Saturday morning for the second awareness session on Alzheimer's this September, which is the Alzheimer's Awareness Month. 1 in 20 people above the age of 60 have Alzheimer's dementia. This rate increases to 1 in 5 for those above 80 years of age. Yet, lack of awareness and stigma has resulted in over 90% of dementia cases in India remaining undiagnosed. So while it is said that we have 6 million patients in India, the actual number could well be much higher. Alzheimer's Dementia Rotary Action Group was set up to address the challenge of this disease, a Rotary Club initiative to spread awareness of this disease and support the communities and caregivers worldwide to better face this situation. In India, ADRAG has been set up with Rotary Club of Bengaluru Cantonment as the lead club. I acknowledge the support of Rotary Club of Bangalore Cantonment. And thank you, Rotarian Samir Gupta, in case he's present today. I didn't see him yet. ADRAG India brings you this webinar in partnership with Elders India and the Rotary Club of Bengaluru Orayan Gateway. We also have Rotarian Govindarajan Kannappan, President of Orayan Gateway. Thank you, Govind, for joining.
My pleasure, Raghu. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for your support and welcome to the program, Govind.
Thank you.
In the last session, we focused on understanding the disease itself. What is it? How do we identify? What can we do to prevent, etc.? And we had the interaction with Dr. Sushma Chawla, which was really informative and enlightening. We'll share the link in the chat for you to access that later, in case you missed it last week. Today, we will do the deep dive into the world of caregiving. A caregiver has to bear the brunt and take the responsibility of managing the disease. So what are the typical challenges? How can one cope with that challenge? What to expect and how to support and get supported, etc. To enlighten us on this, we have none other than Wing Commander DP Sabharwal with us. Good morning, sir. And thank you and welcome to the webinar.
Good morning, Raghu.
Good morning. Wing Commander Sabharwal is a veteran Air Force officer, truly a man of many talents, aeronautical engineer, teacher, mentor, writer. He's written several books on variety of topics. His own personal journey as a caregiver for 12 long years after his wife got diagnosed with Alzheimer's made him determined and take it as a mission to spread the awareness about the disease and help others through delivering talks, counseling, and writing books. We are so privileged to have you with us, Dr. Sabharwal, and welcome again. And please give us an overview, and post that we can probably take some questions. Over to you, Sabharwal.
Thank you, Raghu. And good morning for all those who have made it possible to attend this talk. Well, I always say there are not many deadly diseases, life-threatening diseases in the world. Starts with cancer, AIDS, diabetes, heart attacks. From all those diseases, people have recovered and at times shared their experiences. But Alzheimer is the only disease in the world from which not a single person has recovered and been able to share what exactly it is. However, there is nothing imperfect or nothing perfect. So even in this, there are some people, the caregivers like me, who have lived that dreadful journey, have come out safe and sound and mentally stable. Many people in my talk, I will say, who have been responsible for maintaining sanity, because 12 years is a long period. My wife got it at the age of 52. She was a highly talented, she was a postgraduate, MA B.Ed, a teacher for about 20 years in reputed public schools. She was a yoga teacher. She learned yoga from Ramdev, and she used to teach yoga to about 100 ladies and children in my Air Force Housing Society. She was excellent housemaker. She was an avid gardener. In our flat, we had about 70 pots with herbs, plants, vegetables, all doing exceedingly well. And when it started, in a very innocuous manner, because 12 years she suffered and 5 years ago she expired, so 17 years back, way back in 2005, nobody ever could think that Alzheimer could hit a person at such a young age, right? So it took about 3 to 4 years for us to go literally from pillar to post. We went to the normal physician, we went to the psychiatrist, we went to the psychologist, we went to the neuro people. Even in PGI Chandigarh, one of the neuro person at that time, head of the department, he wrote Alzheimer's and within bracket 4 question marks. Normally, a doctor puts a question mark if the diagnosis is not conclusive. Well, that being the case, this is one of those diseases which a caregiver learns more. Last session, Dr. Sushma Chawla went through what exactly Alzheimer's is. Now, in my talk, I'll say when first time it happened, first time it was a very simple thing. She asked me, Savi, here is a vegetable, see whether there's salt or not. My first reaction was, 30 years you have never asked, why today? You want to make fun of me? And then next time, she forgot where the money is. She chided me. Look, today is second, I have to pay to the maids. How come it's delayed? You have not paid me the money. I say, I gave you 2 days back. She said, no, it's not there. I said, look in the cupboard. She opened the cupboard. Instead of the second drawer, she had put the money in the third drawer and forgotten that it was there. The next time, I was Sunday morning having a breakfast and suddenly says, why? You don't have to go to the college. You will be late. I said, look, today is Sunday. She said, no, I know it's not Sunday. You don't want to go. So I picked up a paper and I said, look, here it is. She said, no, I knew. I was just joking with you. So this sort of incidents kept on happening at a interval of about a month and a half, each one in a different manner. Another time, her sandals are missing. So which her cousin had brought from Delhi. And she said, my sandals are missing. I said, look in the shoe rack. Instead of the shoe rack, she had kept in the cupboard where the clothes are there. So obviously it could not be seen. So this sort of things started happening at odd times. It was causing a bit of a frustration, at times anger, at times I used to suspect her. Why are you doing it? Like there was a mix-up of identification of items. One day there was a newspaper and a magazine lying on the table. We are having a cup of tea. I said, "Can you give me that magazine?" She gave me the newspaper. I said, "Come on, I asked for the magazine." She said, "I gave you what you asked for." I said, "But it's a newspaper." She says, "But why you want to read magazine when I'm sitting with her? That's why I didn't give you that. Leave it." That was another. Another day, there was a mix-up of a color. We had to go for a party. She says, always used to ask whether it's an informal or a slightly formal. She said, "What should I wear, suit or a sari?" I said, "Today some guests are coming. Better wear a sari." She said, "Which one?" I say, "Any." "No, you tell me." I said, "Okay, wear that turquoise color." 5 minutes later, she came with a sari. I said, "What have you worn?" She said, "Look at sari." I said, "What color?" "Whatever you told me." I said, "I told you turquoise." She said, "Then what it is?" I say, "It's orange." She realized and she said, "Oh my God, I never knew you know the difference in colors also and all that." You see, it's sort of since she was educated, this used to be a momentary lapse in concentration, identification, recognition, all those things. And she used to recover the situation. But then I knew it's happening in different fields. So I talked to my children. They also said, one day she told my elder son, she says, "Look, your papa being a teacher, he forgets I'm also a teacher." So he started behaving as if he's a professor in a class at home. Tell him not to do that. And again, the children also said, "Papa, she may be." So the idea was maybe she's stressed, she's overworked, she's in a foul mood. So every time something or the other used to be ascribed or prescribed to her behavior. But then one day she went to the school. She used to go on two-wheeler. Her school was just about 2 kilometers. That day I was at home. I didn't have a class in the morning session. So after about 40 minutes, she came back. It was about October in Chandigarh. But I could see perspiring and sweating. I said, "What happened?" I gave her a glass of water. She sat down. She said, "I couldn't find my school." I said, "Come on, your school can't be moving out. Where did you go?" She said, "No, I went to the school." I said, "No, you tell me." Because by that time I was sure something is not right. I didn't know what's wrong, but I knew something is not right. I said, "Tell me, how did you?" She said, "I started my two-wheeler and then I went out of the gate." I said, "After going which side?" She said, "I took a right turn." Whereas her school was take a left turn and go. So she took a wrong turn. And then after reaching about 1.5 kilometers, she stopped the two-wheeler over there, sat over there, and after about 5 minutes, backtracked and came back. And this was the first time after about 1.5 years. In between, we went to the doctors, memory loss, do the blood test, see there are no other symptoms. Not that nothing was happening. We went through. And if you know, the blood test has got about 108 parameters. Something is not right, something is not right. So put her onto those things. So after this, the major thing was, which really caused concern. We had 3 blocks, block A, B, and C. We were in C block, first floor. She went to second floor, first flat, corresponding to ours, pressed the bell. A lady opened the door and she immediately realized something is not right. She says, "Oh, ma'am, you're to our house. Please come in." "How come?" She took some time to realize, which later on that lady told to me. She said, "Well, I didn't see you in yoga classes for a few weeks. I just came to check up whether you're all right or not." She saved the situation, came back home. But exactly a week later, instead of our society, she walked into another society. She had gone to the market. While coming back, she entered the society and she was walking around lost, where another lady saw. "Hey, ma'am," because again, she used to attend yoga classes. She said, "How come, ma'am, you're in this society?" She said, "No, I don't know. I think I have lost my society." So she brought her, left at our society gate. And next day morning, when I was with a walk, a colleague of mine asked, he says, "Have you got Kanta checked up?" I said, "What happened?" He said, "Yesterday this happened." That's the time I came to know this, and the previous incident, she went to the second floor. Everybody in the society knew except me. Probably they thought I would be knowing. Now, that was the first time we took her to a psychiatrist. She had a first sitting all right. Second sitting after 3 days, when the leading question she started asking, suddenly she says, "What's your age?" The young girl looked at her. He said, "Ma'am," he said, "what's your age?" She says, "Ma'am, I'm about 28. She said, "My son is elder to you. Don't ask me all these stupid questions. Do you think my brain is something wrong with it?" So she walked out. She came out and said, "Sabi, give me the phone." I said, "Bye." She never carried her own phone. "Give me the phone." She called my elder son and said, "Look, Pranay, look after your dad. Something wrong with him, but he's blaming it onto me." So these are, by this time, about 3 years had gone. Odd incidents happening here, there, and all that. What used to cause to me, other than my anger, my frustration, I'm not able to understand why it's happening. Many times I say, "Kanu, what's wrong with you? 5 minutes back, you're all right. And now why are you behaving this way?" More than anything, suspecting her that she is playing foul purposely. Because at this stage, I didn't know that this is a mental case. It's like something, some attack happens. Even epileptic attack happens. After that, it's gone. And maybe after a few days, a person is normal. You can't make out that a person had an attack. So that sort of thing. But after this, we were on the lookout. Okay, yes, kids also now started supporting me. So it took another 1 year. We went to Visakhapatnam. My elder son was there, SSP. His son, my grandson, 3 years old. So moment she saw we enter the house from airport, and first thing he asked my son, "Akun, who is this boy in your house?" He was shocked. He says, "Ma, he's your grandson." So anyway, that's why we took it. And it was the first time after about 4 years, close to 4 years, from the first time the salt symptom happened. Then I started jotting down what had happened. They carried out a full test. First, they carried out everything. Then they carried a CT scan. On way back, there was no MRI. And CT scan, they did find something in the brain. But later on, I came to know they can't compare because there was no previous CT scan to compare that, yes, there is something, but they could find probably some black spot. So after all these tests, fifth day, she carried out one is called mini mental state examination test. It's a 30 questionnaire. Normally the neuro physicians conducted. And in that, there are 30 questions on various parameters. 10 things which the memory loss, your recognition, your colors, your change of date and time, your placement, your judgment, all those things. Her score was 1-3, 13 out of 30. And the doctor looked at me. Before this, the doctor said, "No, don't tell me what all has happened. I will evaluate her." So first she talked to me, then she talked to her. She carried out this test. Before that, she has given out. And then she said, "It's an advanced stage of Alzheimer's. I mean, I wonder, you're so educated and all that, what you have been doing for all these years." I had this thick file, I put it to her. I said, "Ma'am, this is there." Anyway, so it took that time about 4 years. And situation 15 years down the line is no better. Because even now, there is no conclusive test for establishing there is Alzheimer's. Now there is something. That's why we are doing memory cleaning. And that's why we tell the people, these are the 10 symptoms. It's not only memory loss. Memory loss can be with the normal aging people. So these are the things which start happening. So my thing is, Sushma Chawla also said, start noting down if any deviation from the normal behavior happens. I gave you 6-7 examples what happened. So it could be in those fields. They may be separated with a month's gap. So you got to link them up. It's like putting the beads in a thread. And when you have 3 or 4 symptoms, doubtful, take it to a neuro. And if need be, ask for a mini mental state examination to be done. Now, this test for a normal person may take about, you and me, a normal person may be able to answer in 5 minutes. The score is about 28, 29, 30 out of 30. But any score less than 25 is an indication of some deterioration in the brain, and below 20 is a confirmed Alzheimer's case. Now, on their own, the doctors do not do it because this test takes about an hour and a half. And knowing the busyness of most of the doctors, and particularly a neurophysician, to spare about 1.5 hours for this test is a bit difficult. Anyway, along with the Nightingale Medical Trust, and there is ARDS, Alzheimer Related Disorder Society of India. 3 years back, we had done a 2-day seminar, international seminar, and that time the Health Minister Nadda had come. We had requested if MMSC, Indianized version, could be done, and not only by neuro, it could be done by trained people. I'm happy to announce that last 2 months back, this order has come. The MMSC test has been adopted to the Indian conditions, right? Right now it's available in 3 languages. We got to pass it on so that it could be carried out on a suspected people. Now, coming to why early detection is necessary. Though there is no cure, I'll say nor for next 7-8 years, nothing can be done about the Alzheimer patients. But it's a question of early recognition means the Alzheimer patient can live a life of dignity. I know the amount of pressures to which I was subjecting her, doubting her, suspecting her, alleging her mental state I can imagine. There was a stage when she was not comfortable with the guests. Any guest coming, she used to barge in and speak. Twice I did, I took her inside and put her in the room and put a bolt from outside. Now, after that, her behavior used to be very erratic. I talked to the doctor who was treating her, and she said, look, she wants to talk to them. What is your problem? So next time somebody came, so I put her there. She sat for 2-3 minutes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. By that time, she had lost her speech. But after that, I found she was comfortable. You see, the patient cannot express, but her emotions, her senses, her feelings do not die. So she had a feeling somebody comes, I should be able to talk. So that is, now we say, respect the feelings of a patient. He or she cannot speak, but they can express. Another incident, I'll say, the caregivers angle. My son used to come from Hyderabad every month. We were in Bangalore. So once he came early morning, right, he used to come by flight and then started coming 15 days. He said, Papa, it's too expensive. So one day he came by a night train. So early morning, 6 o'clock, I opened the door and he was standing and my wife was there and she started abusing choicest Punjabi abuses. Self and my son was shocked, standing over there, didn't know what to do. This was Saturday, Sunday. Monday, I went to the doctor. I said, Dr. Soumya, this is what she has done. She said, why are you perturbed? She says, in her vocabulary, these abuses she's heard over the years. Conscious mind, she never used it. In a subconscious, unconscious mind, when she's got no control, what to say, what not to say. So she's come up. She didn't mean it. Right? So this sort of, you can imagine when this happened, what was the state of a caregiver? So I'm saying this is what happens. And again, then I started reading books once we know. After detection, again, she lived for about 8 years. And the condition used to go from top to bottom, kept on degrading. And in between, by that time, there was no Indian author's book. So I read a British author's book. And there was a chapter, Alzheimer patient is like a child. Like the child doesn't know anything. The child does all odd things which irritates you, which at times amuses you, but amusement goes. A child does, you get amused, but an elder person does, you don't get amused. Okay, the reaction is different. But over the years, then I realized this analogy is okay to some extent. Yes. But in the case of an Alzheimer patient, the reverse is happening. You see, the child with every year starts improving. Here, with every year, the patient is going down. That's number one. Number two, when she got it confirmed at the age of 55, I was 57, a lot of energy. Requirement was very less. 7-8 years down the line, her requirement kept on going this high. And my level of energy kept on coming down. So why me? Any caregiver is not able to do all those things. A stage came handling all alone, 24/7. She required a watch. Yes, in between, the behavior changes. For about 2-3 months, she was volatile, shouting, yelling, abusing people. And after that, what happens? You go to the doctors, they give some medications to suppress that sort of symptoms and behavior. And after 3 months, it was aggression was of a different type. Pick up something and throw. After 3 months, there was a stage, won't talk anything, absolutely just sitting like a dad. You keep on asking, there's no response. So behavior keeps on changing because there are about 6 lobes in the brain. They control different functions. It starts from one end and goes to the other. The problem in this disease, rest all diseases, symptoms are similar. The doctors can say this can happen. In this case, the deterioration could be from A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In some cases, it'll start from G, F, A, B. In some cases, it'll be A, D, F, G. So it's very difficult to say how the next time it will behave. We've got a caregivers group, about 80 people, when Dr. Sushma Chawla started it. The people pose their problem. This is happening. The caregivers say, look, I have gone through this, my father, my mother, my wife, my this. So that is where this group helps in 2 ways. One is that somebody else has gone through it, and then you feel I am not alone in this. Secondly, the people have suffered this. I'll share a lovely case. When I say lovely, I mean, that's not the right word, but that's how I look at everything in a positive sense. It happened about a year and a half back. In the group, I opened the group at about 9:30. There was this lady had put, my mother has been yelling for last 2 hours. I don't know what to do. Can anybody suggest? She had posted it at about 7:40. So I saw here, 30 minutes later, I had met this lady in Delhi. So I called her up. I said, how is your mother? She said, sir, I don't know. She's still yelling. I said, do you have cotton at home? She says, what? I said, normal cotton with which we make that batti and we do puja and all that. She says, yes, I'll have. I said, take it, make 2 balls, plug your ears. The phone went dead. I couldn't make out. Anyway, so I went to my work around 5:30 in the evening. I get a call from this lady. She said, are you there? I said, yes. How is your mother? There was a silence of about few seconds, 5, 6, 7. Probably the longest period in my life. I thought something has happened to our mother. I said, are you there? She said, yes. I said, then? She says, I've been thinking, what should I say? Whether I should say first, thank you or sorry. I laughed. I said, okay, you don't have to say. You feel sorry because you cut the phone abruptly because my suggestion appeared to be some weird and funny or vague or whatever it is. She said, yes, sir. I said, now tell me, my idea was, you're plugging your ears, your mother's behavior you couldn't control. But all that nuisance which went into your mind, 50% was blocked. She says, exactly that happened. After about 2 hours, she slept off, but I had slight respite. So this is where the caregivers group helps. Somebody has gone through that and they say how to come about it. The other thing about caregivers is it becomes difficult. When things become difficult, one of the doctors in Nimhan suggested, so you better shift with your family because handling alone all by yourself will be difficult. So I shifted from Chandigarh. I came to Bangalore to my younger son. So it is shifting, if possible, with a family member is a very, very positive thing. Over the next about 5 years, she was at home, and then last 1 year, 4 months, she spent in Nightingale Medical Trust because she fell down, broke her hip bone. We couldn't handle it, right? So that is the case. But in between, what happens, it becomes very, very difficult. I kept on ignoring my health, and one day morning, I had a breathing problem. I was taken in a car to Vikram Hospital, and I was given and all that. And they realized my lungs capacity had reduced to 50%. So I'm on inhalers. So that can happen to the caregiver. Another time, I had almost not a nervous breakdown. My children said, you have to go to a counselor. And I got an appointment after 5 days. The counselor said, by that time I had become okay. She said, sir, you have been counseling college children and all that. I mean, there's nothing. Now you're all right. So she is the one who suggested you better get tied up with a social organization. That time I used to go only for 2 hours teaching in a aerospace college. She says, you got to engage yourself. That's the time I joined Rotary, just about 5 years back. So these are the things when the suggestions come from various people, you got to take it. And then we had a paid help also, because a stage came, I just couldn't handle. A stage came, she's like a child. We talked about child. Child starts eating, putting food all over the place. Then it starts going in the mouth, right? In their case, it goes in the mouth, and she stopped dipping her chapati in a vegetable. She'll just take it as it is. Then it was going all over the place. Then we started mixing up, and a stage came, she couldn't eat on her own, and I had to feed her breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It used to take about 1 hour each meal. Now, time wasn't a problem. Problem was 1 hour, my arm used to start aching because trying to feed, she will not take. Give her 2 spoons here. Later on, I came to know she's not eating, no forcing. I used to hit her teeth, and it was so frustrating for her and me. Later on, I realized change of scene. Stop it. She doesn't want to eat it. Stop it. Take her to the sofa, dining room. She takes 2 spoons there. Bring her back to the dining table. Take her to the bedroom. So that 1 hour reduced to about 15-20 minutes. This is what got to be done. Then when all these things are happening, taking her for a walk. At times, she'll refuse to get into the lift. At times, she will not go through the steps. Halfway through the steps, we are on the 2nd floor. She'll just sit in the stairs. She won't move. She's scared mortally to take a next step. Neither I can bring her up back into the lift, nor I can do. So these sort of problems come. So physically exhausted, we took a help. We had a lady who was looking after my granddaughter, but then I thought granddaughter had become about 2.5 years. We thought she should handle my wife now. She started feeding and all that, but when it comes to dressing her, giving her bath, taking her to the washroom, she refused that lady to do everything I had to do. Right? So changing clothes, the stiffness comes in the arms. We could not put a kurta, being a Punjabi. I mean, saris were given long back. Then in salwar, instead of a nada, we had to put elastic because it became difficult. Shirt we could not put on. So every shirt, we cut open front and we made it a gown sort of thing. So all these things, caregivers have to do it. You have to adapt to the situation. And every 15 days or a month or 2 months, a new situation comes, new problem comes. So you got to handle those things. Right? In all these things, what I later on now I tell people, well, your mental balance has to be there. There are 2 things. There is one is maintain your own physical health. I suffered because of my lungs and that mental something for a short period of time. So physical health is very, very important. Financial health, everybody talks about it. Well, it's one of those things can't be done. One of the major problem with all elder care is financial things, because presently things are very costly. To hire a help for the Alzheimer's patient in major cities, Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and all that, we got ADRAC chapters there. The common problem is, firstly, we can't get a trained person, because the normal nurses are no more useful. They can take BP, give you injection and all that. In this case, nothing of that sort is required. No medical emergency I've seen in Alzheimer cases ever comes up, except when they lose track of balance, they fall down, either break the spine or the hip. That's the only thing can happen. The caregiver has to have a lot of empathy to understand what a person is doing. Person doesn't know. And let me share you, there was a time when I had put 5 posters in my bedroom, corridor, drawing, dining, and kitchen. 6 words, she is not doing on purpose. My children ask me, Papa, what it is? I say, I can't accept it that such an educated, learned, well-behaved lady is behaving this way. That was for me. Seeing for 5 months, morning, evening, she's not doing on purpose. She's not doing on purpose. That is the sort of empathy which is required for a caregiver to improve the patient's behavior. And if the patient behavior improves, the caregiver's mental state remains better. And finally, there is one thing called social health. Now, normally in our case, even the caregivers don't talk about it. But I say, why not? Anybody comes, nobody can take away my pain, my agony, my suffering, everything that I have to do it. But the situation is like a pressure cooker. The steam builds up. If you don't let the steam go out, the cooker will burst. That is the case with the caregiver. I say, share your problems with your family members, with your friends. You always should have 1 or 2 shoulders to put your head over there and cry. I use the word cry because I have done it twice. She had come to a stage when she had no control over her bladder. Normally, every 2 hours at night, I used to put alarms, and she wouldn't put diapers because that time diapers, knicker type was not available. It was from the side band. You fix her one side, she used to tear away. So once in a while, she used to wet the bed. One day she did it. There were some guests at home. I got tired. I forgot to take her to the washroom while sleeping. Half an hour later, I saw it was wet. So take her to the washroom, make her sit on the pot, change her clothes, change the bed sheet. It has gone to the mattress. She won't like that polythene sheet underneath. So put a lot of newspaper to soak up that thing, put her back. 2:30, it was again second time wet. So I changed it. Third time happened at 5 o'clock. I changed it. After that, 7:15, my son came to me, Papa, are you all right? Because normally I used to get up at 5:30. I said, no. He said, what happened? So he took me out, gave me a cup of tea, and he put his hand and said, Papa, what happened? First time I started crying. So what happened? I said, in the morning, I abused your mother. I said, why the hell don't you die? I said in Punjabi. He said, Papa, you didn't mean it. I said, obviously, I didn't mean it. He said, then why are you feeling bad about it? So I'm saying this is the emotions to which a caregiver goes. I have gone through it. I'll admit, I'm educated, I'm rational, I've been a counselor myself, but all such things have happened. But why I maintained my sanity from that time onwards, I started talking to my friends. My school, I got 2 of my schoolmates, 3 from my Air Force days, 2 in my Panchkula society where I remain, 2 here. I've got about 7 to 8 people with whom I can call anytime and share. So this social health is very, very important for every caregiver. So this is what I say. I think I have taken enough time. All I want to say is, first I wrote a book, Handling Alzheimer's with Courage. That was about 5 years back while she was still alive. The Dr. Soumya Hegde, who was treating her for about 6 years, she asked me, sir, you're so methodical, write your whole journey so that people can be benefited. But when I started talking, I realized that caregivers is a bigger problem. So I wrote a book, Care, Learn and Share, a guide for Alzheimer's caregivers. This I have written along with Dr. Soumya Hegde, who was looking after my wife. She is here with about 18 years experience in Alzheimer's. So both these books, anybody wants, after this, Raghu, please share my email and mobile. Please send a word. I'll dispatch the books to you. The books are free, but your contribution will be priceless because all that money will go to the Alzheimer's fund. Okay, so that is basically what it is. This is what I wanted to share. Now I'm open to questions.
Thank you so much, Commander Sabharwal. It's a real moving story and such an honest an articulation of what you personally went through. Thank you so much again. As I was also going through the book, recently. As I went through the book and as I heard you today, for a caregiver, it's it is about getting to know about the disease and how to do the right things, providing the care and so on. But finally, it will come to handling oneself from within, answering questions which probably it's a little more philosophical in nature, questions for which answers would have to eventually come from within, right? So we probably also move from what can I do to help to how do I handle my own feeling of helplessness? Anything that you suggest in this regard as to how can one brace for such an experience that's going to come when this disease is diagnosed for a loved one?
Okay. Now, lot many people said, Savvy, hats off to you. What you have done is excellent and all that. My philosophy in this is, I used to ask them, did I have a choice? Can I abandon my wife for 30 years or for that matter, anybody, mother, father or something? If the answer is no, then if it has to be done the Fauci way, it should be done with smiling face. I think that's my defense background of 25 years came. people go to the Tutulam peak, they know that out of 100 people go, 80 will die, but still the people go. Something has to be done, it has to be done. If you do with a positive frame of mind, things become a slightly easier. So you have to have that attitude that it has to be gone through. Ab has ke karo ya ro ke karo, choice is yours. That easier said than done. Most of the people struggle and then they come to a stage, shrug the shoulder, look, I can't do anything to improve it. Let me live as it is. So your mental frame of mind has to be changed. Like I had put a posters, she's not doing on purpose. You find it. Everybody has to find his or her own thinking. But the basic fact is it has to be handled. It has to be handled with passion, empathy, and care. I mean, once you know the patient is better, you will feel better. If patient is shouting, like the lady's case, mother was shouting, she was losing her sense. So this is basically what it is. Yes, you're right. It's a philosophical, it's being sadhu, it's being Mahatma. But I think the situation makes you so. I wouldn't have been that 15 years back when the thing started. I've undergone all that journey. But today, I can smilingly say, keep smiling. But all this, my children says, I spent 11 years with them, my son and daughter-in-law. They tell everybody. We never knew our father is so cool and composed and all that. I say, I evolved over a period of time. That individual has to put in effort. Others can only suggest. But doing it, adopting it is left to individual.
You're narrating the incidents of one of the patients being verbally abusive, yelling and so on. Can Alzheimer's patients also get physically violent? Is it also possible? And
yes. And in very few cases, as I said, there are 6-7 lobes where it starts. If that physical violence gets hit earlier, that lobe gets affected earlier, there are people, they have been throwing things away, okay, breaking things. So in such cases, the only thing my book also says, in such cases, remove all those things which can be picked up and thrown. It may be breakable, it may hurt somebody. So all those, the rooms and all that, we came to a stage, okay, when she became verbally abusive, not physically abusive. We took all those precautions. Yeah, once she did. I mean, I forgot to talk about music. That is how to soothe their people. There used to be a tape recorder, and morning to evening, I used to play the cassettes. And one day there would have been a sad song. She stood over there and she saw it's coming. She just picked it up and threw and broke that tape recorder. That's the only violent thing she did it. Otherwise, at times it happens. Not with all the patients, with about 50% of the patients. And I said these phases last for 3-4 months. Then something else becomes, it's today, let's say crime rate in this particular thing is highest. Once you remove it, the next second becomes the highest. So something else comes up. Yes, physical abuse remains in some cases, but for a period of time. Another thing the caregivers must know, any behavior will not last till the end. It's only for a short period. Be prepared. Worst is yet to come. I always say, what is happening is not the worst. The next phase which will happen would be worse than this.
Understand. Yeah, it is a difficult journey. And you mentioned also that it doesn't follow a regular pattern of progression, and it's also difficult to predict even the onset. And for most of the people who are normal and they don't have any family member currently showing any symptoms, is there something that they should be doing before any of these things happen? Because there is a possibility that it could happen. So is there anything that you suggest for people, all the listeners to this webinar? Is there anything that they ought to be doing to prepare themselves when nothing is imminent?
You see, when people ask me, I say, normally they say, keep your brain active. And I said, my wife, she was keeping her brain so active and she got it such a age. So I can't say if anything will work. But yes, when I've been reading and I'm in the process of another book, is there a way to prevent or delay Alzheimer's? There are two things they say. It's particularly one is a left-right. I'm a right-hander, my left hemisphere only is working. So all this happens is, as Sushma Chawla had said, it's due to certain proteins which form. It breaks the connection between the two neurons. So they say if you start using your other hand, which is not active, the other part of all you're trying to do is build the connections. If a child doesn't know anything, he starts crawling, walking, talking, eating. He's basically building the connections between the cells. Like somebody says, pick up the glass, my ears hear it, the hand moves it, picks up a glass and gives it. So it's a connection from one part of the brain to another. So if you use your second hand is one, the things which you have not been doing, start doing that. Learning a language is another thing, right? So these are the things, and I don't know, at least there's no harm. They say, take your tongue, move it from left to right and all that. All those things are not harmful, but probably only the time will do. Somebody has to do PhD to see how many patients did this and all that. But these are few things basically to learning another new language, because that they say involves far too many parts of the brain and using second hand. And I've started brushing and shaving. 1 or twice I have cut myself, but then it's worth it, because having lived it once, I don't want to go through a second cycle.
No, I was more from the point of a caregiver mindset and being able to, fortify oneself before.
No, I want, like I said, all those things, keep your brain active, do this, do this, do this. I say it doesn't. I mean, doctors may say, but I can't say it will help. So I can't say that.
Okay.
But no harm in keeping yourself active, physically, mentally, all those things. Avoid what all Sushma Chawla said. Keep yourself busy. Hand movement, particularly the stiffness comes. So if you keep on methi todli or coriander and all those, so keep that activity on. It probably may offset. But as of now, there is not enough research to say any method will delay it. Because the disease just was recognized about 10, 15 years back. It's only now the research has been happening. So it'll take another 20 years to say whether this thing is helping or not. Somebody said coconut oil, pure coconut oil. I fed up pure coconut oil for 10 years. No deterioration, kept on doing it. But there is no harm. Change every oil and use coconut oil. So you never know, in some patient it may help, right? So that's basically my take on that.
So another question is, you briefly mentioned the financial implication of handling this disease. Regardless of how the disease finally progresses or pans out, the financial strain on the part of the caregiver and the family is real. And actually, if you include other brain disorders, including stroke, Parkinson's, etc., our number in India itself is, I believe, 20 to 30 million. So based on whatever you have seen from the caregiver group and the other situations that you've come to know, is there any perspective from a financial standpoint? How do we address this? Because many of this insurance does not cover, and so on and so forth. Is there anything that one can do once somebody is diagnosed with this?
You see, that's a very difficult thing. That's what in our ADRAG, one of the 5, ADRAG, I have given a different meaning, Alzheimer Dementia Rotary Action Group. I said no. Awareness, detection, right? Rehabilitation, assistance. So assistance is there when we say, okay, let's build a fund. There are certain people who can't afford it, like even Nightingale Medical Trust. They got a center in Bangalore and one in Kolar, right? The expenses in Kolar are about 60% of what monthly expenses are in Bangalore. So we do require that sort of a model. CSR funding, probably today they are only going into education, women health and all that. This is one area where you could do it, okay? And another aspect in ADRAG, what we are trying to do is train the caregivers. There are many people, 35, 40 years, ladies and all that, who don't require a formal training. All they require is 1 week of what exactly is required to be done. So over there, instead of 20,000 rupees for an 8 or 12-hour shift, probably it could come down to 10,000 rupees. No, there are many things to be done. They are already on our agenda. It'll take time. Right now, we are only going to awareness, and this year we are doing the memory cleaning test. This month I'm doing 2 in all those places where the people at least will come to know. If there, then help. You see that their treatment doesn't cost much. It's only the when you require external caregiver help or putting into the care home, that is when it becomes costly.
When it becomes a long-term caregiving with external support,
Yes.
that's when it becomes.
Initial years can be handled. Another problem which is coming so far not in our country, we are still joint families. In USA, the things are so difficult. People above 80, 85, both of them are suffering. They just don't know what to do. Luckily, in our case, like I said, I shifted to my children. Most of the people, they shift to their children or something. There are somebody, the family caregivers. So situation is not really that bad. But 10, 15 years later, when the children are going abroad, and we all know, it would really pose a problem. And I think that is a time when probably organization like you, Elders India, and I know one in Chennai, probably they have to expand. And before that, do the spade work, get corporates on board to ease out these problems. Problems will remain. We have to see how to ease out those problems.
You mentioned corporates, and we discussed this a little earlier as well. Any thoughts as to what can corporates do? Because bulk of the children of the potential Alzheimer's patients will be working in some organization or the other. Is there any role for the corporate that you envisage in this?
I think for that I'll sit with you, because so far my about 150 talks have been all outside the domain. But yes, I know. Let's say there is a system where we can train these people. Training cost is hardly any. Nightingale Medical Trust, they say we'll do a minimum, Rotary will pay for that. But question is, when we have to put this person, trained person, to somebody who can't even afford 10,000 rupees. I know there are 2 cases. That is the time we could go to the corporate. Okay, look, this is what we have done. How can you do it? So long as it's one could be okay. Lifelong contribution, monthly, yearly, okay, goes to a corpus. But I've got no intention of forming that fund or something. Probably case-to-case basis. Like I'm in Shishu Mandir, if you have heard about it.
Yeah,
I'm the vice president there. We are handling about 400 children. We are spending about 9,000 rupees per month per child. And a lot of corporates are giving us help. We say, okay, we require so much in kind, rather than asking, give us so many lakhs. It's a very successful model. Something we'll have to do it. I think ADRAG will get in touch with you to see how the corporates we can utilize. We can request corporates to do a meaningful way, so that corporates also are sure. Okay, look, we know our even single PASA is going for a rightful cause. Because in our country, let me be very honest, that sort of faith is not there. Even an established organization, I've got no hesitation in minting boards. For many years, I was involved with 𝐿Page Cry. I just gave up because things are not above board. I mean, if anybody listening belonging to those organizations, I'll have a face-to-face. So I'll be very honest. If we approach a corporate, the corporate has to have a trust that this organization which is doing for a very just cause. They are clear, transparent. Above all, integrity is there, which today in many NGOs is missing. I'm not saying all, in many. It could be 50%, it could be 60%, 30%. I'll not go into that. So yes, corporates, we will maybe another 6 months, 1 year down the line, when we have put ADRAG onto, we are going step by step. We've got 6 steps. Right now, we are at the 2nd step. So yes. So you got plenty of time. We'll have interactions 1:1 with you, Raghu, and we'll do some. We'll approach corporates.
Yeah, clearly, I think there is there will have to be a stakeholder here. And by the way, sorry, I just realized that I did not, in my introduction of you, mention that you are the founder president of ADRAG in India. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's one of those things. Again, in my bout of depression, and because after COVID, I had my cancer in my bladder detected. Okay. So I was going through a tough phase. My talks finished. I used to go all over the country, give talks. Alzheimer's COVID put an end to it. In between this happened. I was in a depression. I said, what do I do? So that's the time I started interacting. 𝐴DRAC USA. My books went there. They liked it. And they said, okay, why don't we make you already member? So I became a member. So 𝐴DRAC India came up. So also I was in the spot, so I became founder president. Otherwise, nothing great in it. It just happened.
It's very important. You're doing a great service. Rima, are there any questions from the chat?
Step in. So, Wing Commander Sabharwal, thank you. Firstly, I think there are a few comments which are there, and people are very touched by your very honest sharing today. We probably have a couple of them who are going through similar situations, and I've taken the liberty of sharing your number on the chat box with them. Very informative session. There is one question which is there. One of our guests has asked, that if somebody suspects or is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which are the organizations or who is it that one can reach out to?
You see, in the initial stages, there is one is Nightingale Medical Trust, right? One is when the people ask me, we will have that person onto our caregivers group where they can guide it. Unfortunately, there are very few organizations who are purely dealing with Alzheimer's. Okay, Dr. Sushma Chawla, I helped her. She's a wife of my engineering colleague. We've known each other since '66. So when she set up, she had a daycare center. She's a gynecologist. 3 years back, I forced her. I say, you have done enough of deliveries. Lot many other can handle. You get into Alzheimer's. So she left that, and so nice of her. So she's had now 10-bedded facilities. They are coming up. In the initial stages, one doesn't have to go anywhere, but get connected with certain people who are involved in this. Maybe another 2-3 years, we'll be able to give the names. But right now, there is one in Calcutta. There is nothing in Chennai. There is one in Delhi. Mumbai, I'm trying to find out. We formed the 𝐴DRAC group in Mumbai. We are trying to find out. So there are very few organizations, right? But Nightingale Medical Trust is one. Me and my group, Sushma Chawla's is another. So that's a stepping stones. Over a period of time, we may have many more. And good, my number, anybody can send me a WhatsApp message. This is a WhatsApp number. Rest assured, within 12 hours, I speak to that person individually, get to know what is the problem, and then suggest whatever I can. And get that person, if they are willing to get into the caregivers group. Thank you for sharing my number.
Sure, thank you. Anybody else would like to either ask the question directly or put it on chat?
I had one other question. So you shared your experience as a spouse, giving the care to your spouse here. But is there anything different that a child caregiver goes through, or let's say a gender difference? Let's say if it were to be a middle-aged woman trying to provide a care to, or a senior woman trying to provide a care to the husband, would there be any changes, different challenges that they go through?
You see, child caregiving, since I have last 6 years, I've seen my granddaughter coming up, and now grandson 2.5 years coming. Their requirements are of a different type.
No, I mean the child of the Alzheimer's patient giving the care to Alzheimer's patient.
Okay, no, because as I said, there is no set pattern. Each one faces a different challenges. It starts from a different group. So whether somebody is handling a lady or a gentleman, or the caregiver is a lady or a gentleman, I thought ladies are much more passionate, patient, more understanding and all that. But I've seen people like me, they're equally, because it's a situation makes them calm. Situation molds them into a situation, into a thing. So again, I said, I keep on talking to the students. I've given talks, students of psychology and all that. I said, this is the area, I'll give you 3-4 areas where you can do PhD about Alzheimer patients. And in Bangalore, there's not a dearth of it. At one stage, my son says, Papa, why don't you do it? I say, if I get into PhD, I'll miss out on these important things. Okay. Twice in my life, I gave up options of doing PhD. So I said, no, I don't want a degree. And incidentally, last month we gave a talk in Rotary Club of Bangalore, Level Road. There were 3 doctors and I was a non-doctor. And after the talk, during the tea, I was surrounded by more people and one other doctor came up. He is in Institute of Science. He says, Sabharwal Sahab, engineer is attracting more patients than a doctor. So it is anybody who has gone through it, who has analyzed what it is. I've seen many people. I can, if you have a talk, I can put another lady, Anupama. She's gone through, her husband at a young age also got it. She not only talks on it, actually she can talk on financial and legal aspects of Alzheimer's. She has gone through it like me. She is another eloquent speaker. Okay. So there are very few people who come up and share. Many other colleagues have gone through it. I say, why don't you do it? She said, no, I get shudders. One of my colleagues, it's another same age, 5 years elder to me, from a corporate world. He said, look, moment, I don't want to think what I have gone through and my mother has gone through. He says, I don't want to talk anything. So there are all type of people. So this is, so whether a female or a male or something, it's, I won't be able to generalize. It's an individualistic experience, both for the patient and for the caregiver. Commonalities may be there, but I think at this stage, nothing can be generalized.
True. Okay, so Rima, any other questions? Otherwise, I think.
No, I think we are also at 12:35 now. No more questions.
Yeah.
I think Wing Commander Sabharwal's contact details are there. So I'm sure people will reach out, those who would like to understand more or get some support or guidance from them.
Welcome, welcome.
So if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Wing Commander Sabharwal. It's been such an informative and as many pointed out, really moving story. I hope this the awareness of the disease that you are striving to spread, more and more people be prepared and be aware and take some proactive steps, and hopefully we'll get the disease under control. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who joined in today. Please do keep following EldersIndia either on Facebook or LinkedIn, and we will keep bringing such initiatives to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.